Unfortunately, if democracy will come to an end in Nigeria, I'm sure the judiciary will hold a huge part of the collapse of democracy in Nigeria. I wonder why it is always easy for political parties to get judgment from the court. I'm sure you know that there are several civil and criminal cases before the court in Nigeria. Some have been running for 10 years, some have been running for 5 years, some have been running for 3 years, some have been running in eternity. Why is it always easy for political parties to get judgment from the court? Let's even begin to debate that before we start thinking of how we have conflicting court judgments. At the time, I thought they said that the courts have no reason to dabble into the internal affairs of political parties. At another time, court will tell you that no, if a party does not follow its own rules and regulations, if the party does not follow its own constitution, then you leave the court with no choice to intervene into whatever disagreement you have within members of that political party. So you begin to wonder how one court will give judgment, another will give another judgment. Why is it so easy for politicians and political parties to get judgment from the court almost effortlessly? Well, there are other several matters before the court that some adjournments have even been taken against next year. We're in 2025 now. Some adjournments are already for April, May next year. So you wonder how all of this, all of this are happening, at this point in time. As to the question of whether the Federal High Court is superior to the State High Court, the Federal High Court is not superior to the State High Court. They are courts of the same ordinary jurisdiction. They are the same court. It's just that one is at federal level, one is at the state level. Otherwise, the Federal High Court is not superior, to the State High Court. So if Federal High Court, in Abuja, is giving a judgment, and the one in Ibadan, the Oyo State High Court, is also giving a judgment, they are courts of ordinary jurisdiction, and the only court that can settle this controversy that we have now will be the appeal court. So I'm sure both sides may choose to go on appeal, or the Independent National Electoral Commission may not choose which judgment to obey, because I'm sure all of the judgments be before the Independent National Electoral Commission, who I'm sure will also subject the different court judgments to their own internal scrutiny. Maybe their legal department will go through it, and I'm sure they will make up its mind from the varying court judgment from Abuja and from Oyo State.
Isn't it unsettling that you can even get a ruling from another court on a case that already exists in another court?
Well, I'm sure you know that lawyers will always say that no two cases are the same. We need to first of all get what were the reliefs being sought in Abuja, and which reliefs, were also being sought in Oyo State. No two cases are the same. And unfortunately, one is at the Federal High Court. So you will say that the Oyo State High Court should be privy to what is being debated at the Federal High Court in Abuja.
It should now, Mr. Ige, if it concerns the case before it should be privy to the case.
No, one is Oyo State High Court. The judge in Oyo State High Court is not a wizard. It's not a spirit to know what is happening at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Except that matter is brought before him to say, look, Mr. Judge, there is a similar case like this before a Federal High Court in Abuja. It is not the responsibility of the judge to be helping people to shop for where there are cases or where there are no cases. That's not the responsibility of the judge. And the one we had in Ibadan, I'm sure, was by way of ex-parte measurement without that party. Yeah. You understand? The one in Abuja was more or less of a consequential judgment. That's why I say, look, only the Court of Appeal cannot settle what is at stake now. The convention in Abuja and in Ibadan, they did hold in accordance with the court judgment, or the one given by Justice Zifu in Abuja is it more valid than the one that took place in Oyo State. So we cannot sit in court now and begin to decide which is superior or which is not superior. Only the Court of Appeal will be able to tell us which judgment